Hi, Karen. So, welcome to tonight's podcast. Really pleased that you're able to spend some time with us talking to us about yourself and your
Yeah, good
art and
evening.
your journey. So, I'm going to
So good
ask you
evening, Lorna.
going to ask you to introduce yourself to our listeners, your full name and what a bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, okay. So good evening. Thank you for inviting me. So my name's Karen Reed. Um, a mother of three. My youngest son, he's 13, and I've got my grandson who I look after, who's 12. But also as well, I'm an artist, and I go by the name of Zori Paintings. Yeah, and I work part time for the NHS doing admin work, and art is what I do. Um, as therapy, but also as well, I like to create paintings and I sell them at pop-ups or events that I'm invited to. Yeah,
Yes, and that's where I met you. I saw some amazing, really interesting pictures and about here. Lots of
yeah,
them were Afro hair, and of course I'm a
that's right.
trichologist, so I'd be I was so interested in your paintings. So tell us, when and why did you first pick up paintbrush? Was it a
All right.
conscious decision or spontaneous reaction to something? Why did you do it?
It was a bit of no, not spontaneous. It was a conscious decision, and that was because I was invited to a sip and paint. That was very strange how that came about because my journey of painting started during COVID, just the beginning in May 2020. And so, at night time was my quiet time. So I was isolating as well, because I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2019. So a year later, COVID came in. So scrolling, and then noticed this Black British artist, absolutely beautiful artwork of Black women, Black people. So I was very inspired of her work because it reminded me of, African painting that I've seen, which I love, and uh, paintings that come out of the Caribbean, very much the same. So I'm there scrolling away, looking and liking her paintings, commenting on them. And about 20 past 12, I see her responded. I'm thinking, what are you doing up this time of night? So basically, it was back and forth with each other for about half an hour. And then said, do you know what? Later on, because this is like now, yeah, quarter to 1 in the morning. Later on today, Saturday, I'm doing sip and paint online. Join us if you want. There'll be people from America, in Europe. So I thought, okay, why not? So I jumped on and I really enjoyed it. Me being my competitive self, I thought, let me try this in my own space the very next day. And that was the journey because once I recreated her painting, I just kept painting more and more and more. Now, the backstory to that is a very close friend of mine bought me canvas and paint 2 years ago because he saw some stick paintings that he liked, but I didn't really think nothing of them, but he really loved them. And then that day I thought, where is my paintings that he bought me 2 years ago? And that's why I had all the equipment already. So that's how that started till day now, starting from stick paintings to what you see when you saw me. And my paintings have got even more better, much more better. That if someone was to tell me, well, 5 years ago, what my paint would look like today, I'd be like, no, that's impossible. So I'm self-taught basically, and it's been therapy for me.
So you knew that you've always known that you can paint. You've always known you can draw. You can draw.
Yeah, I could draw. Yeah.
You always
Not
knew that.
fantastic, but I've got a creative mind. It's really started off with me because I was very small. I used to draw designs for a dressmaker that I know that would make clothes for me, and I actually recreated what I wanted because he was a freehand styler. He was able to bring to life what I wanted made. But that's it, really. It wasn't, I'm not fashion designer or nothing, but I've got creative mind.
Creative mind. You knew you could draw, but not to a brilliant level, but obviously brilliant enough to become an artist, a fantastic
Who
artist.
would have thought of that?
Really interesting. Oh, that
Yeah,
gives so much hope for so many people. And obviously, so sorry to hear that you were diagnosed with
yeah.
breast cancer. And obviously, COVID was a,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
was a very pivotal time because obviously then, not obviously, but then I was in a spiritual growth because I had just got baptized in 2019. But COVID came in and I wasn't able to go to church, so I was watching church online, and that was actually spiritually uplifting, grounding, and so my art had a lot of that pouring into of my I had a loss then because my son's dad died of prostate cancer in 2019 December. So in January 2020, he got buried, and then COVID came in March 2020. So I had a lot of emotions to deal with, not being able to see anyone regarding my own cancer treatment, like therapy or talking to anybody about it. So, raising the children by myself. So there was, and our world turned upside down because of COVID, being isolated. So it was a period around after Easter. And so I remember my pastor talking about in this time, it's like we're like butterflies, cocoons. And what do you do in that space? So out of that cocooning from 2020 into 21, a butterfly, came out. And that was me as an artist. That's how I see it. And so it's still very therapeutic for me now. Very therapeutic. So all my emotions, however I feel, I express myself through art, and I know it works. So my motto is art matters because it does allow people to self-express and just focus on that creativity. And actually, what I have found is people actually connect to my artwork because, as you notice when you visited my table, none of my images has faces. They are blank faces, but people connect to them, and it's just wonderful to see people, admire them, have conversations about them. Yeah, so it's still very warming, touching to my heart even today now.
That's so fantastic, that you was able to channel your energies to become the butterfly that you've explained so beautifully. And of course, we're sorry to hear that not only were you dealing with your own diagnosis, but you was also dealing with your partner's
Yeah,
diagnosis, and you know, really difficult times. We understand that.
really difficult. I could
Yeah.
go into that more, is because when our son, so it was 7 years later that he was diagnosed, that I was diagnosed. So it wasn't, so this is really, this was really um, a trying time. It's very actually, I suppose, a unique situation and really traumatic one because when our son was 6 months old, he just randomly went for a PSA. Uh, and we was told within 2 weeks that he had prostate cancer, and it was that advanced that if he didn't do treatment, so this is us finding out 2 weeks after, the biopsy with my our baby on my lap, and we're in the consultant room in Guy's Hospital to be told that he's got cancer, and that it's it actually would be if he didn't do anything, he would die by the end of that year. 2012. So, you know, he managed to survive for 7 years, but 18 months. So yeah, he was told he had 18 months to live in 2017. Yeah, trying to get my maths right now. So basically in 2019, we knew by the end of that year he would die. And that's when I found out I had breast cancer in January. So the beginning of that year, I was told that I had breast cancer, and I knew he was going to die at the end of that year. That was crazy. So, and we got a baby. Do you know what I mean? Being told that he could die if he doesn't do nothing. It took us 4 years to have a baby, and then to be told that we will lose him. So, lots of praying, and I think that our baby's big boy now, was the driving force for him to fight for life. Yeah, and yeah, it was a lot. So I was carrying a lot. I couldn't tell anybody about it really because nobody would understand. Like we shared the information, but I was carrying everything, and that was a lot. Mum to a baby, late age mum as well, 45. So a lot of things juggling. I had to take on that care position. I had to be the one that was logical, taking all the information, do my own research, do so much. I had to do everything because he was unable to even really taking what they were saying. I would think that he's listening. And as soon as we come out of the consultation room, especially when we was told that he's got the cancer, he said to me, "What did they say?" And I just said, "Wasn't you listening?" But then I realized, wow, I'm gonna have to carry this with while we're pushing the baby in the buggy out the hospital. It was a lot. It was a lot. And I never
So,
had no one to talk to. Like there was no, so back then it was just me carrying everything because, not like today, which is a blessing for everybody. You've got so many community groups to do, and especially in the Black community, I had none of that. Absolutely none. Yeah.
the support was it was difficult then because obviously you are the support to your partner, you are the carer, obviously managing your children, looking after the children, and then who's your support?
No one, because I'm actually the person that is the go-to person in my family. It's very small. So I'm the only person that can actually deal with something like that and not be emotional about it. My logical hat comes on, whereas everybody else will melt down and just be emotional. So I carried a lot of that. So I had to throw myself into research, understanding what that looks like. For prostate cancer, especially the gradings and what that looks like, what radiotherapy looks like, what are the side effects of that. With me, I don't think short term, I think long, and I need to know A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I already had understood the biopsy, so much so that the doctor said to me, "Am I a nurse?" Because of the questions I had, like two pages of A4 papers where I'd written everything down, I got my questions ready.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a lot.
I can imagine, and they like to know that you understanding fully why he asked you that. But I can imagine that, of course, reading it through and then putting it in your own words so that you would understand that
Yeah,
what you were reading and what questions to ask. That's yeah, that
yeah,
takes
because I
quite
actually
a lot of
ironically
planning.
work for the NHS, so I've seen too many times, I do admin work and receptions. I see too many times when people book appointments in my department and patients don't know why they're even going. They don't even ask any questions. So, it's really important um, when you get a diagnosis that you do your own research as well. I know it's scary because it is, and you don't want to know, you just want to listen to what doctors say, but you do need to know. Inform yourself as much as you can. There's lots of platforms now than there was back, in 2019 because it helps you to understand what they're planning to do um, and understand how to prepare yourself and maybe look at other things from other sources rather than the NHS. There's other sources like, I found information from seminars that's from Harvard University in America, Australia, all of these things. There's so many now. Google the
Yes.
way how it is. I mean, there's so much information, which is really good. Um, you know, Scientific information and just even looking at complementary sides that the NHS uses as well. So it's really, it might sound weird saying it is a good time because you've got so much, a wealth of information. 13 years ago, it was a different world, a different world.
You're right. There's lots of information on the internet, lots of sources. You're right. Absolutely, it's important to look at the sources as well.
Mm,
Who's writing it because anyone could put anything on the internet,
yeah,
and then it's
no,
on there. So that was, you sounded like you did some real,
yeah, because I did it then
preparation.
and I had to do it for myself. So that experience actually with my little one's dad actually prepared me 7 years later for myself because that's when I had to uh, dive deep now because I knew nothing about breast cancer or whatever. And that was something that I asked internally to do, which is something you could not do now because I've got a half sister and she was diagnosed with breast cancer and I had just met her and hers was very serious and it came back again. But I had a lump in my armpit and I didn't know what it was. It was tiny because I was, shaving and I went and got a wax, which was a no-no. Never knew that you're not supposed to do that. So on holiday, went away, but my skin was very dry and itchy, so I kept, rubbing aloe vera. But because I'm small as well, I kept like, I lift my arm up really behind my back and really rubbing in. And I thought, oh, what's that? I thought it was a cyst. When you use deodorant, sometimes you can get that lump. So I just said to the professor, could you just refer me to the breast clinic? So he did. Got a letter, and I went in my lunch break. Well, that was a lunch break and a half because I went for a mammogram. Then I was told to wait in the room. Um, and then the imaging wasn't coming through properly. So when the doctor went out to go and check with the ladies, there was two nurses in the room, and because I work in hospital and I'm very inquisitive, I just thought, what's that the first doctor did in his examination, because they will do the shape of the breast, put crosses where they need to put them, and their clinical information as to why I went to have the mammogram. And then when I pulled the paper to me and I looked at it, my eyes popped out my head. I said, "Oh my gosh, you lie. He thinks I've got breast cancer. Oh no." And I just had to push that paper back, and my head was spinning because I'm at work on my lunch break. I'm thinking, what the hell, really? Because my son's dad's gonna die at the end of this year. I can't be having cancer. No way. So when he came back now, he said, right, the imaging should come through. And he sat down and I said to him, I'm going to tell you something. I just read that paperwork. Does the doctor that examined me, am I right in thinking that you're actually thinking it's malignant? And he goes, yeah. And the images came up and he said, showed me the spots. And I looked around over his shoulder, looked at it and he said, right, we've got to take a sample. And I was like, what? Now? And they said, yes. Oh my God, my heart was racing, all sorts of things. So I'm on the bed and they done what they did, like that, say, right, prepare for that staple sound where they pull the sample out of you. And I walked back down the corridor and it was like I was in a movie. Do you know when you can hear all the sounds, but it becomes muffled and my whole world is spinning? Because I'm a Christian as well, all I was saying, God, please, it's taken so long to have our baby. You can't take us both away now. I was thinking, who's going to look after my son? Because he was only 6 then, actually, about to be 7. So when I went back into the department, all my head was, right, I got to do some research. I don't know how, but it's got to be more than Macmillan cancer. So as I went into the reception area now, my colleagues was looking at me saying, is everything all right? And tears just came streaming down my eyes. And I quickly ran into the office and shut the door. And then 3 of them came in and said, Karen. And they said, what have you? And they couldn't finish it and I just shook my head and they just all circled me and just gave me a big hug. And then I said, right, that's it. Wipe the tears away. I'm going back to the desk. Says, Karen, you should go home. I said, nope, because in my head now I've got to use this space because there's a computer and a printer. I've got to do more than what I did, for my little one's dad. So I basically, within 2 weeks, I actually printed off 500 pieces of paper of that, everything that I could think of to do breast cancer. But within that time, though, because it was such a worry, I'd lost a stone and a half in 4 weeks because now I've got, little one's dad who's got cancer and he's going to die. I got to keep place, look after my little one. I could not tell anybody in my family because they wouldn't be able to manage it. So my adult children, they wouldn't have been able to manage it. So I carried that secret for 3 months, and I was having my operation in March, end of March, but I had to tell my daughters, and they were really upset because they said, "Why did you carry that for so long?" But for me, the reason why I did it because, like I said, I didn't want people to go through the emotional roller coaster that I was going through of the blood test, waiting for the results, and then having to deal with everybody else's emotions, and then being weak. I couldn't have that. I had to keep it to myself. That was the only way. It was like fight and flight. I had to take on that and do it myself. I didn't even tell little one's dad that I had it. No way, that would deteriorate him. I had to keep that to myself. Yeah. So then, had the operation. Then they said that I had the lymph in some of my lymph nodes. So I didn't want to do it, but then I did the operation 6 weeks later. Yeah. And in July, I told him. But the other part of that story is by this time, me and him wasn't together because when he was diagnosed, it was a lot, and it for my own mental health and well-being, because it was a lot for him to carry. Um, we ended the relationship, but in the same breath of ending it, you know, I held out my hand and I said, "I'm going to support you anyway," and that's what I did because it was too much. It was impacting me too much, and I do believe that carrying all of that, and all of what I've done, that actually for me, so much stress, like so much, and the workplace not supporting that would have triggered the cancer within me as well. I do believe that for myself because stress can do that for me.
Yeah,
when I
stress.
when I joined the dots together of what it, because being consistent chronic stress from the moment I found that, so that's 7 whole years. And in the seventh year, then I developed, caught early, stage 2, but it had spread, but it's very early. So thank goodness it was that, and I just had the lump removed, no breast taken out or anything like that.
That's great news that it was caught early. And sometimes the oncologist will say they don't know how, if something can be, fit and find themselves with a
Mm,
diagnosis. So it's who knows, but I
yeah,
understand. Obviously, you were carrying a lot of internal stress if you weren't
so
able
much.
to share that.
No, I had
So
to suppress a lot of things, didn't I? Because I was carrying everything myself for a long time. Mm.
for a long time, and the painting now enables you to what you do
That
now
was
with
the release.
stress. That's your release.
Yeah. So for me now, where my paint's open up a lot of doors for me now because I'm a foster carer. I've actually been had the opportunity to hold voluntary workshops for the young children, just for them to actually have something create, so they can be creative as well and express themselves anyhow they want. Not teaching them, but just giving the freedom to create. So that's really been brilliant. So
Yeah, I'm sure because they don't know. You don't know. You might be unlocking something in within them as well. So later,
yeah, of
just in the
course,
same
because
way.
they have trauma and things like that and the way of expressing. So art does that.
Amazing.
That's
So
why I
tell
say art
me,
matters.
art is that's your slogan? Art
Mm,
matters.
yeah.
Good. Have you got any of your artwork you can show us?
Oh yeah. So this one, whoops, let me get it.
Oh, I
Can you
can.
see that?
Yes, that's yeah. You
Can you
can
see
hold
it
it
clearly
much more
though?
up to the camera. It's a
Oh,
bit
sorry.
blurred. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Whoops. Sorry.
It's going in and
Hold
out
on.
of blurring. Yeah, it's, that's perfect. Oh, it's gone again. It keeps coming
Yeah.
and going. So that's
So
tell me about that picture.
right. So I know people be familiar with the actual image. It's a lady with a big afro hair. Normally you see her on t-shirts and posters with lots of affirmations in her hair, in the hair. But what I did is I was inspired by it, but I wanted to do something different. So this is actually mixed media, you call it. So the actual acrylic paint is mixed with organic dried lentils to give the texture of afro hair. This is actually a signature piece that everybody, no matter where I go, sorry, people want to always touch her. It's always a conversation, people guessing, what is her hair made out of? And then the real afro comb that is there, that I put that on the top. And every single embellishment, I put it one by one myself, over 100, things about 150 or more.
That's
Whoops.
all hand done.
Yeah.
So when you recreate that, do you do different? How do you do them? If people want to buy one, how do you recreate it?
Yeah,
And
I
say,
would just I would do it on order, if I was there because I bring them to my pop-ups
yeah,
events. Um, so this at the moment it's just a one-off, but I can recreate it, but no two pieces will be the same. So that's the beauty of it. If they wanted a different background instead of black, I could paint it different background if they wanted. But
do
yeah, but
people
that's it. I call it Afro Hair Rocks. This is series.
do? So do people choose different backgrounds? Do you make a suggestion? Because sometimes people don't know what they want. They can, I mean, it's just
Yeah.
beautiful, so they'll buy it. But do people sometimes try and get it a bit
No
bespoke?
one's actually asked me um would I that they want that they'd want it in another color. It's the only piece that I have. So it's the only one that I've created this way. So people, they will come and they love her. Um, she's still with me. But if somebody said to me, I really love that, but could you do another one and do a different color, then background, then yeah, that's what you call commission, then, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can have that. It's
'Cause it's
fantastic.
real, and I think what people like is that they actually see real paintings rather than prints because I actually like painting. Yes, I'll do prints, but I actually like to carry what I call my mini art gallery with me. So
Yes.
where I go, it's very unusual for people to see actual real art. So I just love watching people interact with my artwork, and when I think about where I'm coming from stick paintings to what you see now, it just blows me away. Hmm. So each time a person comes and, connects, it's just like it's the first time that they did it. That is that experience for me. Yeah. So I'm just full of gratitude for discovering COVID and all what I've been through, birthed the artist inside of me. And that can be, and I tell that to little children in the workshops as well that I've done in, the fostering. That yeah, there's always the artist is always in you. Doesn't matter whether you're perfect or not. You keep doing it. Doesn't matter if you can draw or not. But just do it. Then you'll enjoy it. It's over time. This took a long time for me to get where I was getting. Where I've got to. Sorry, not that I was planning to do that. I was just discovering it was getting better, and I got feedback from people when I was sharing my artwork. I was like, wow, they really like my work like that. Do you know what I mean?
Do you have your original, that you like your stick paintings? Do you have those still? Do you ever show people where you've
Yeah, I have. I
started?
have got. I have got the two of them. Yeah, because it was only two that I had, tiny little, like A4 or less. Yeah, yeah.
But that's
I
where it
still have
starts. So,
them.
so
Yeah,
really, that's really quite, they're really quite significant, aren't they?
yeah,
If
yeah.
if it's, and you sound to me as though you've been evolving over the time. So you didn't plan this, but every time
Oh,
you did something, you thought,
even
oh,
with
I'll
the
do.
paintings. Yeah, even with the paints with that, I didn't plan to do that. It will just come to me, especially with the food in the hair because I was actually there's a technique that I was using like really thick amount of paint putting on, but then it just things just come to me. I'll never have a plan of what that paint's going to look like. It
Mm.
and even how it's going to finish, I don't know. I'm just going with the flow of it. Yeah. Normally,
And
my creativity is very late at night, so I lose sleep. But that's where it was birthed through COVID. It was late at night, and that's how the pattern went for me because I can't focus in the day with noise. But each person will find their own way of creating.
yeah. And how long would you say that piece would take you
Well,
to
that
create?
one, it took me at least 3 weeks because I use a very unusual technique. So with the paint, I actually just use the paint with the actual food. So I had to keep applying it, and it's actually rock hard. You're supposed to use these other types of mediums, but I didn't have it to hand. I didn't want to wait. I just wanted to create in that moment. This was very late at night, so I wanted to do it, and I was like blown away by myself. I thought, wow, and that's all I get when people see it. Wow,
Oh, wow, because they can't see, they have never seen anything. It's
yeah,
so
everybody
unique.
wants to
It sounds
touch
like,
it.
yeah, there's something about texture as well, isn't there? Colors and
Mm,
textures and
yeah,
having that.
and you
So,
don't get that from a print, do you? No.
no,
Mm.
you wouldn't. It's very, very different. So tell me, if you could speak um directly to someone who's listening, um, and have, you know, obviously many people go through many different experiences, um, quite emotional as well. You've explained that
Mm.
today. What would you, what single piece of advice would you give them?
I would say to them, even though you may have friends and family to talk to, it's not going to be enough because it's too much for them to take on board. And you will find that anyway. I'm sure those that are listening do understand what I'm saying. Saying the advice I would say is take advantage of all the groups, like things that are in the community, like especially for like cancer support, um, because it could be for yourself or for your partner. Like for men, there's many groups, and there's groups that if you're the partner of that person, you can go along because it gives both of you a place to connect with others. You learn, do you know what I mean? And it's supportive as well because so for women we talk more. So I'd say even for the women with the breast cancer, if I'm talking about myself, I wish I had what everybody has now, all of these different women's groups, especially for the Black woman as well, with the breast cancer group. So join up, find out about these things. Um, and no question is ever a silly question. If you're not sure about anything, speak to the care providers in the hospital. There's so much information to be signpost. Google is there that it can help you find Google AI mode, I would say, not search. it's very specific. It will find anything, any questions you want to ask of how can you find and where it's there. It's so much better now. I wish I had what's out here now, but I still find it interesting. And yeah, and I'll always champion people on. Yeah, so
Brilliant.
much,
And
and always keep checking your breast and encouraging others as well. You know,
absolutely. And tell me, your paintings were about hair. Why did you choose hair? So there's no faces,
because
but
so
hair.
yeah, so what it is, it's about so for me during COVID, it was about celebrating the Black woman. And I so that's why I create Black women, but the natural hair as well. I love Afro, but then when you look at Afro, it's very it's very bold, it's very beautiful, and it's a strong image, isn't it, with the Black woman? It's her crown. Because when you think about the 60s, that was the thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like it. It's fun to do and to create it. And you know what's really good, lovely as well? Because the after Black women's natural hair isn't celebrated, but when I put her on a painting, on a canvas,
Yeah.
in the texture I've done, everybody loves her. How ironic is that? Because even, and that's black, white, male, female, outside of the black race. So, she's celebrated by other nationalities, which normally when you go to the hair, if you go to work and we're not talking about hair and the children at school with their plaits, they're not, told to take your plaits out or things like that. But this shows the hair, but Afro hair is beautiful. Afro hair rocks.
Right. So you're celebrating the black. So you're celebrating yourself,
Yeah,
really,
the black woman.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
during that period of time. So where, for anyone who's listening, or for everyone who's listening, where can they find you? Where would they be able to get hold of you to purchase
Uh,
your work?
yeah. I mean, I'm on Zori. I've only got Instagram, so it's at Zori Paintings, but with a Z instead of a S. Just all
Perfect.
one word, and you'll see.
Really
You'll find
paintings.
me there.
And how long would it take if they were going to ask you to commission a piece of work? Would this so you've got your regular stock, I guess, and then you're developing it. How are you doing your
Right.
work?
So
Would they
if yeah, I mean, if they see anything that they like, I may still have it, or I'll just recreate it again. So that could take about 3 weeks because you know, I I do other things as well. So I'm a mum as well. I work. Yeah, I'm not a full-time artist.
no,
Yeah,
brilliant. Well, look,
but yeah,
thanks so much
yeah,
for your time. I did meet you at a pop-up.
yes.
Blown away by your collection of
And you invited
arts.
me to one of your actual events. Do you remember for cancer, breast cancer? And I had my table there.
Definitely. I mean, I'll invite you again. If I have another one, you're more than welcome to come because I just think the work that you're doing is phenomenal, and it's always interesting to hear the backstory to it, and of
Yeah.
course you've been able to share that with us today. So we are very, very grateful. Thanks so
You're
much for your
welcome.
time, and we'll be in touch again with you very soon, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you. Bye,
Thanks
Lorna.
so
Bye,
much.
everyone.
Have a
Bye.
Bye bye. Good
Bye
evening.
bye.